The abs walk. Walking your way to great abdominals. I've been thinking about the greater perspectives of facial form, orthodontics and general health for some time. And one of the features I think that connects orthodontics in the area I work to body posture, of course, is a forward head posture. And that affects how you walk. I've been interested in barefoot walking, particularly since I became involved in the ancestral health movement. I've used toe spreaders. I've been on a course with Gary Ward. And of course, my mother and my sister is a physiotherapist. So it's been a good amount of personal influence on body posture. And I've made some observations and trying to look at the body as a whole rather than just separate parts. Now, we're fully aware that this modern society is leading to problems with a forward head posture, and we've identified the fact that our ancestors were looking onto the horizon for predators or prey, and we've moved to looking at, well, first televisions, then desktops, laptops, now of course tablets and smartphones, and this is changing the way our necks and heads are. Of course, though we've recognised that, I think we're missing out on the fact that craniofacial dystrophy and changes in facial structure are changing how we like to posture. Now, I've described this concept of craniofacial structure, and the idea is that we've changed our modern diet, we've gained nasal obstructions. Because we've changed our modern diet, we've moved from a tough diet to a soft diet, because we've changed the way we breathe, from always breathing through our nose to often having to breathe out of our mouth, and that becomes habit even if we have a clear nose. Faces have lengthened. So if you've gone from this, with tough muscles, to this, with weak muscles, the face is lengthened. That's fairly well covered under the concept of craniofacial dystrophy, and scientifically it's fairly sound. Of course, when the face lengthens, you've only got so much face, so the face is necessarily going to be narrower and it's going to be shallower. And that's reducing the cross-sectional area. Now, the most important element of this is your airway. It's probably the most important thing in most people's lives. And as the cross-sectional area reduces, of course, this affects your airway, and to open your airway, most people tilt their head back. It's the same thing when you do the ABC of resuscitation. A for airway. You tip people's heads back. Now, if you tip your head back, that looks silly, so you upright it in a forward position. So there's a tendency modern humans have got from having a head position fairly upright to a head position fairly forward to keep their airway open. Now, you could move your head back up into the position where you know it should be, but of course as you do this you're constricting your airway. This is why we don't do this, and in reality, to be able to move your head and neck back into the right position, you need more tongue space. Now, that's not the direction of this video today. The direction of the video is looking at what is happening when your head comes forwards. It becomes habitual to hold your head forward so that you can open your airway, because that's the most important thing in your life. Now, as you do that, it changes the balance. So, I take these two illustrations. I've got a mast here, or the rigging of a boat, and I have a cross-section through a body. Now, both of these structures should be in balance. They have a central compressive element, and the compressive element takes the weight that runs straight the way down through the center of the object. Then they have tensile segments on either side, for that, on the abs going down the front, and on the back going down the back. Now, the problem is, if you have a forward head posture, you've moved a great weight forwards, and because you've moved that great weight forwards, the weight is upsetting the balance. You now don't need any tensile strength down the front, but you need all your tensile strength down the back. So your abdominals and muscles at the front of your body, they're never working. And the muscles down the back are working all of the time, so much that they will probably at some time cause you problems or upset the compressive unit, because it's now not as well balanced in its loading as it was initially. And clearly that is what we see. So it's my personal observations on this that if you engage the posterior third of your tongue effectively, if you get a good suction hole, if I myself push my head back and then I think about my big toe as I move forwards, I find automatically that this barefoot walk comes naturally without me thinking about it. I stop thinking about all the tips and hints that I learnt, as you do when you're learning something, and it automatically happens. And also I notice how the activity in my abs suddenly increases enormously. And it doesn't just increase, but as I walk it's firing sideways, sideways, sideways. And of course, when we've been told to head back, shoulders back, sit up straight, imagine there's a piece of string here, I think those are all methods of faking it. Now, that's not necessarily bad. Some days when I'm in a bad mood, I fake it, I put a smile on and I feel a bit better, but it's still faking it. I think the real answer to getting good head posture is that tongue, is the back third of the tongue, pushing back and up. It's, if you will, the missing column of head support. So I think it's very important to get your back third of your tongue engaged to assist you with normal head posture. Now, when I have tried this myself, as I've walked along the road, I've engaged my tongue and pushed so my head goes further and further back. I've usually had a friend walking along beside me to give an image or an impression of what I'm doing. They could even video you. But as you move further back, try going too far back, and it automatically then triggers certain other events, and you'll feel your abs working. It really is not a difficult thing to achieve. Now, these observations have come from me seeing and thinking. But when I see an image like this of someone, I'm thinking, are they going to have good or bad body posture? And in particular, are they going to have good or bad head posture? Now, what would you think? I mean, as a general rule, I would say that would be good on both accounts. Now, a shameful history, without question. But these guys have got great abs. They would have got abs most people would die for. And I bet you they have never been down a gym and they have never done a single sit-up. They're just naturally like that. And if you were to take 5 guys randomly out of a sample in modern society, I don't think you're going to find abs that look like that. That just happened naturally. And interestingly, those guys have all got good body posture. Now, what are we doing now? Well, we're doing sit-ups, which I think is utterly the wrong thing to do to build your abs up. Because what you're doing is you're shortening this length in your body. You're encouraging yourself to come more forward in your attempt to train the abs, which is going to give you a very good short-term answer, but I don't think it's going to give you a very good long-term solution. And of course, you can do very short raise abs, but I don't think that quite gets you as good a response as doing it naturally. One of the things I've been very conscious of is people who have told me they go down to the gym 2-3 times a week and they get a certain level of postural activity change or functional activity change, but then they start doing a little bit of exercise at home where they do a little bit of exercise every day, and that is ultimately better. And if you can change the way you walk, well, you can walk multiple times every day, for significant periods of time. That is the ultimate exercise, not occasionally going down the gym. Now, I've been very impressed with the work of Thomas Myers. He has this concept called anatomy trains, where I've taken these images from. And he asked the question, do we have 600 muscles, or do we have one muscle in 600 different fascial pockets? It's often been noticed that all muscle, in fact, everything almost within the body sits in a fascial pocket or within fascial sheaths. You know, when you're eating food and you eat meat, you see this. Now, what we notice is the blood supply, the lymphatics, the nerves, the tendons, everything to do with those structures runs within those fascial sheaths and supplied within those fascial sheaths. And Thomas Myers goes to the extent of not looking at the parts, the individual section, but at the whole length from the top to the bottom. He dissects these sheaths out and notices how they tend to follow in a system. So you have a system down the front of the body, you have a system down the back of the body, you've got systems within and on the sides of the bodies, and they're all continuous. They go from one to the next, to the next, to the next, as would realistically be necessary. If you were going to design the human body, that's how you would design it, not as individual elements that don't connect or don't work with each other. Now, here I've got an image at the far side of the back fascial sheath and how Dr. Myers has taken that out and shown that as a dissection all the way from the back of the head all the way down to the back of the foot. I don't have a diagrammatic section of the next one, but this is a section that goes all the way down from the tongue to the big toe. You can see that clearly and dramatically. Now, well, when I want the actual evidence that's connecting this together, well, clearly it's difficult to get evidence on this. There's a very good connection between oral posture and head and neck posture, and there's a very good evidence between neck posture and body posture. But we are going into the elements here of functional medicine. And this is a change in the way we're thinking about medicine. So rather than thinking about one element or another element, we think about the whole thing. We think as far out as you can get. And by definition, there is very little evidence for functional medicine. Not entirely, but as a general rule. Now, when we look at individuals like this, we intrinsically know that they have good body posture. They have good neck posture. And I think good neck and body posture goes together with good form. And I saw in my research for this lecture, I saw this image. It was a woman who had been holding her stomach in all of the time. And finally she said what problems that was causing her. She just let it out and said we should redefine what we think of as attractive. Well, I actually think what we think of as attractive is it's quite hardwired. And that's not going to change. Simply she was doing it wrong, as everyone else. Everyone's trying to hold their stomach in. Don't. Hold your head back. Wind your neck in. That's what's going to give you good abs. That's what's going to cause the changes we want to happen. And finally, well, my thought for the day. Well, someone with good head and neck posture is far less likely to have sleep apnea. And we know people with sleep apnea tend to usually gain calories, gain pounds. The old question can be asked is that, do people who are obese become sleep apneic, or do people who are sleep apneic become obese? Now, clearly this is a photoshopped image, but there's an element of truth here. Stand up straight and you're going to get good body form, and it's probably going to do a lot for you. Now, I've put quite a few of these videos out. It goes way beyond what I think in orthodontics. I do this for greatly the benefit of the world and trying to get a message out there, because I think it's important to do that. What I would ask from you is to share these ideas. I suffer, like most other people, from being in a bubble. A lot of people follow me, but I'm stuck in a bubble. Try and take these ideas, go and present them to other people and engage them in good conversation. Ask them what they think about this, because I would like some feedback. I will read the comments below, and it's always interesting. I can't respond to everyone, I don't have time, but it's always appreciated.